Hello, welcome once again to It's a Frankly Harry podcast. I'm your host, Frank Weber. So glad you could join me in the forest once again this week, where I try to make some interesting observations and social commentary, cultural commentary, wondering where we're going as a society and a culture and things that we need to talk about. And this show is so many different things, and that's what makes it different. That's what I hope you tune in for and enjoy. I just want to start off by saying that I just got back home. I went and spent the weekend with my wife celebrating her birthday. She works out of town, so I'm not always with her, but we also managed to go to the Big XII championship while we were there, had a blast. We'll talk more about Texas Tech's championship here at the end of this show because I feel obliged to say something about that as a current student and alumnus of a really great university that it is. I, of course, whenever I go to the DFW area or really kind of travel anywhere, I have a tendency to notice a lot of travel behavior from other people, and I have a lot of stories from that, but I'm not going to say much about them right now. I kind of would like, I don't know if we should do like a weekly segment on that too, like I've also suggested doing like a segment on a favorite commercial or something like that. And it may not even be weekly, it may be kind of irregularly spaced, but I saw a lot of things, particularly on the way back yesterday, kind of some scary things and some narcissistic things, and even saw a couple of crazy, selfish things in my neighborhood last week. And the only thing that I can really say for sure is a lot of people are not using the golden rule when they're out there driving, and everybody needs to slow down and be careful and pay attention because it's pretty crazy, and perhaps I can do an entire show on it next week, but I'm sometimes not sure if you're interested in doing an entire show on that subject, just like me talking about particular sports and what have you. But anyway, on the way back yesterday was particularly trying, and I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, but I'm going to get into my other story here. But between here and DFW, I usually stop in Childress at the Pack-a-Sack there. That's a local convenience store that's out of the Amarillo area. And being a married guy who enjoys an occasional greasy snack, Pack-a-Sack is a really nice place to go, almost regardless of location, because they offer sausage wraps, and more recently they began offering Hunt Brothers Pizza, which is a gas station type pizza that is, maybe it's not the best one out there, but it's good in a pinch. And so I've been driving for 2-3 hours by that point, maybe a little bit more. Probably a little bit more, actually, as it seems like. And so I go there for a snack, and I'm not sure exactly what I want there, but after visiting the men's room, I go washing my hands, of course, and going over to the pizza. I kind of perused the few pizzas that they had, a little pepperoni, a little bit of meat lovers, and I was like, well, do I really want to have this now, or should I go and do a sausage wrap? So I go back over to the sausage wrap and see what they have, and I'm kind of waffling as to what I want to do as far as a little snack before I get home. And while I'm doing this, while I'm at the sausage wraps, this lady, I don't know if she's really a society lady, but she has kind of one of those bitch haircuts. I don't really know what the exact name for it is, but my age or younger, probably younger, goes and takes, there's like 4 pizzas left, and she goes and takes all of them and then checks them out. And so there's no more pizza left, at least from a convenience point of view. And I could wait for another one to come out. They're just like little bitty quarter personal pizzas. They're not very big, not very much to them, but she takes the rest of them, all 4 of them. And I already wasn't feeling well from my travel conflicts on the road. But I didn't, approach her on it and be an asshole about it. But it was just really bizarre to me. She just decided to take all 4 of those at once, and I had never seen that before. And I'm not saying that she's wrong for doing that, but it was kind of the wrong place at the wrong time for me to see that. And so I'm just commenting to you right there. Just something seemed very strange about that situation. And I don't know, there's not really a lot more to say about it, but imagine putting yourself in that. If you were in my situation and you were kind of upset and you were kind of hungry, but you weren't really sure what you wanted to eat yet, and then somebody basically takes away your entire option. Now, of course, I had the option to wait for more pizza to come out, and I could even ask for a custom pizza to be made, but typically that's not what happens when you go into a convenience store. You expect things to already be made and not having to wait further for the pizza. So I wound up settling on a sausage wrap and getting my normal iced tea, and that was fine, but it was a very odd situation, and I felt compelled to talk about it on this show. And hopefully you find that at least a little bit amusing, but I found myself being kind of annoyed, and I wouldn't necessarily say that she was being narcissistic or anything like that, but I see weird stuff all the time, and I don't really know what to make of it. And the older I get, the less things make sense to me, and I feel like I'm almost kind of out on an island on a lot of the things that I believe and I'm saying and doing and all this. And I don't know. I hope that there's a little bit of a connection and camaraderie from me to you on this. So I just ask myself, how would you have felt if you were in my situation? In fact, there was another lady that came in right about the time I was checking out who was asking, like, what happened to all the pizza? Because this lady went and bought 4 of them, and for who, I don't know. But anyway, I also, there was something I noticed a few weeks back. This is another kind of sports commentary, because I think we had talked a little bit enough about gas station pizza right there. But I think I was watching, I sometimes talk about sports uniforms, and as if you've been listening to this show for any length of time, I get kind of upset with the LPGA and their use of sun sleeves and things like that. And I was watching this soccer game a few weeks ago, and as you know, I'm not really a big soccer fan, but sometimes I think I was at the gym when this was on, actually, which is the reason why I was watching it, because normally I wouldn't even tune in. But soccer, they have a tradition in men's soccer. When they score a goal, the guy takes off his shirt and runs around the field. And I think it's not just at the end of the game or anything. I think it's for any shot. And I think this was an Irish team I was watching. But anyway, this guy scores the goal, and terrific. He takes off his shirt, and he's wearing this, it's not really a man bra or whatever, but it's a very high cutoff shirt that goes over his shoulders. And I'm like, why is he wearing that at all? Because a soccer jersey, soccer players don't typically wear a lot of pads. I mean, you can, I guess, wear knee pads and things like that, but why the heck is he wearing this cutoff? I don't even think it was sleeveless. I think it was just this huge cutoff shirt or whatever. But why would you need that if under a simple soccer jersey? And of course, guys like Pele and other legends, they never wore those types of things. And like, why are you wearing an undershirt nowadays? I can't figure it out for the life of me. And then, because I saw another commercial this weekend wearing a shirt like that makes a lot more sense if you're doing American football, because your shoulder pads can chafe that area, so it's nice to have some kind of an undershirt there. But this guy's wearing just this little bitty negligible shirt underneath his regular soccer shirt, and so you don't get the full effect of actually taking off your shirt when you score a goal. And it doesn't seem very masculine, and it doesn't seem very necessary. And I have to be asking myself, well, what the hell is going on in our society and our world when I see stuff like that now? That may even be worse than the LPGA sun sleeves that I get on them for wearing all the time. Sun sleeves apparently do have some function in keeping the sun off, but they're not a very good means of marketing for the LPGA, in my opinion. And I don't know why male soccer players want to wear even the slightest bit of undershirt under their jerseys. Doesn't make any sense to me. But unfortunately, I don't have a clip of that. I will tell you before going on to the next subject that I was watching the final LPGA event in Naples. I wasn't there. I was watching it on TV. It was the weekend before Thanksgiving, and I noticed Nelly Korda, who's one of the top players in the world the last few years, an attractive lady. She usually wears pants and sun sleeves, was wearing shorts and short sleeves. So I don't know, maybe there's some progress being made over there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but I figured I would end the segment talking about that. But my next topic, I guess I should say, just these last couple of weeks, I noticed there's a show on TV, and I don't know if you've ever checked it out. I never really watched it before now, and I guess there's a good reason why I didn't. But there's apparently some show on TV called InvestigateTV. It's usually on the local channels, and I think it airs on Sunday. And I've seen parts of the last 2 weeks of episodes. They're investigating some topic, and I guess they're trying to make more of a public awareness of something that's happening, kind of like what I do on this show, actually. But I've got this certain knowledge set and wisdom set that makes it very, I don't know what they're talking about things that I already know something about. And I don't, and for that reason, I'm kind of like, why are you wasting time talking about that? And so let me give you a couple of examples here. So those of you know, I've been studying financial planning, among other things, this past year, and still have another year total for the whole degree program, dual degree that I'm doing. But the week before this last one, they were discussing the problems of having to go to probate court, which, for those of you who don't know anything about estate planning, you can have a great estate plan with wills and trusts and all that, and, saying where you're going to leave things to people and have it really, well written down and legal and all that sort of thing. But a lot of times you still wind up having to go through a probate court initially in order to have a plan for how everything gets distributed and whatnot. And I just studied this past summer, but there's a real issue because the probate court is very public, and anybody can attend it and try to make a claim to your estate. And I think if Investigate TV was trying to point out that this is kind of problematic, I would tend to agree with that. I don't think it should be as public as it is and public record as it is. I thought that was a problem when I was first learning about it. But like a lot of things in the world, that's kind of the way it's always been, and it may be very difficult to change. So I have no reason why they're actually discussing this on this show. And so that was the frustrating part of that. Now, when I was on vacation this week, I happened to catch a part of this same program this past weekend, this past Sunday. This time they were talking about something more dentistry related that I'm familiar with, and about kids abusing nitrous oxide because, as you know, they don't have to break into the dental office and steal the gas or anything like that. It's used as a propellant in whipped cream, and there's kids who have abused it and gotten into a lot of trouble. Apparently there was a kid who may have been I think it was the son of a dentist actually, who got into trouble because Walmart used to sell, and some other places are still selling, some like nitrous caps or canisters that don't necessarily involve whipped cream. In fact, I think there's like these little bullet kind of shaped things that were used in racing little cars that we actually used one time in school many years ago, that propel the car along the road, kind of like a little drag race with wooden cars, and you put a little fuel can in there and that propels it. But the actual problem of people using this drug or other drugs is not new. So I'm like, who are you trying to educate on this? Because I know about this problem as well. Nitrous oxide is dangerous. I'm not sure why they're still allowed to use it in whipped cream cans, but it's particularly odd that they sell these other canisters. Of course, some of them are for racing these little drag cars, but some of them don't seem to have a purpose other than that. So anyway, the point of the matter is, I don't know why this show is on, because it's educating me on things that I basically already know. And I would wish the public knew about them as well. But anyway, I guess you could say that I'm not really a good audience for Investigate TV, because they talk about things that I already have knowledge of and wisdom on, and I don't see the point. But I guess I could see the point for the general public that you can educate yourself and learn some new things. So I don't want to completely berate the show if it sounds like I'm trying to do that, but I don't see the point of a lot of things that are on TV now, or movies, or what have you. But anyway, that's just my take on that. Well, let me go ahead and wrap the show up and talk about what I think was most exciting about the weekend. Congratulations to Texas Tech and Coach Joey McGuire and the football team for winning the Big 12 championship. And I know that we're in a different era in college football now, but it's nice to have good donors and big money donors, and the ability to get the job done with everybody who was a part of it. I hope, I would say all the fans were a part of it as well. For years, I kind of felt like we, as a university, didn't take a lot of things seriously, or as serious as we should, particularly with our football program. And I always thought we had more potential in us. And, for a school that was pretty large and fairly popular among kids in really the entire state of Texas and other places, actually, not just neighboring states, but, all around the country and the world, I always felt like we could do better. And I think it's still sinking in that we did it this year, and now we're going on to the college football playoff. Our first game will be in the Orange Bowl against probably Oregon, I guess. And so I just had to say something about it. Had a good time at the game. It was probably similar in score to the first BYU game, and BYU has a hell of a team, and I really wish they had made the playoff as well. But then that kind of gets into some other stuff about the politics of the college football playoff, and I noticed there were some big stories that came out the following day when it was all announced. Like Notre Dame essentially was left out of the playoff, and they have since turned down going to another bowl because, and while it may sound like a little bit of sour grapes, they were in the top 12 last week in the final poll before the championship games, and now they've been totally left out. So their situation, though, I don't think was nearly as bad as Iowa State and Kansas State. They were not going to be in the playoff, but they've declined their bowl game. They say because they've made coaching changes, but there are some other things in college football, and not just the politics, but the other things with transfer portal and the NIL. They don't make a lot of sense because if everybody transfers out before the bowl game, you don't really get a chance to really showcase your program appropriately, which is really kind of the situation that Tech was in last year at the Liberty Bowl, in a stadium that was under construction, and playing Arkansas. Both teams were decimated either with injury or just people transferring out and leaving or feeling they have to sit out for the NFL draft and stuff. And I think schools should have a choice as to whether they want to play their bowl game or not. And, because it's their showcase. They can take it or they can leave it. But apparently the Big 12 Conference has fined Iowa State and Kansas State $500,000 apiece simply because they didn't want to play in their bowl game. And the non-playoff bowls now, there's some question about how worthwhile they really are. And, you want to put your best foot forward, obviously, if you're going to showcase your team and your product and your talent and everything. And boy, it sure seems like there's a lot of situations where that's not going to work out anymore. So I don't know if I haven't really talked about it too much, but I'm not a big fan of communal sports rules. The Big 12 fined Iowa State and Kansas State because there's actually a fine now if you don't go to a bowl game, and I think that's totally wrong and inappropriate. And I don't know, it's this crazy world. On the one hand, of course, we're excited about Texas Tech and how far we can go in this thing. And then on the other hand, there's still a lot of politics out there, and there's still a lot of crazy rules, and I'm not really sure. Can't really say for sure where things are all going in the long run, but it's a journey, and hopefully we all faithfully continue along the way and get to where we're going. I guess is about all that I can say for that. But anyway, congratulations again to Texas Tech, and congratulations to a lot of teams on good seasons. I know it maybe didn't always go the way you wanted it to. The playoff has a lot of politics for sure, and some people are saying we suffered from some as well. While the Orange Bowl is a great game, it might have been, I don't know, more feasible to maybe start off in the Cotton Bowl nearby. I don't know. But they don't want us to have a home field advantage, which we apparently did the other day at the Big 12 Championship. But anyway, that's about all I'm going to say this week on the show. Hope you enjoyed my commentary. I know I go on a little bit of ranting, a little bit of complaining, and not really. I think it's fairly cogent, and hopefully fairly entertaining, and maybe you're seeing something there that's of use to you. So, but I hope you enjoy the show. Seems like ratings are better now than they have been. Well, they've been getting more hits for the last month, maybe a little bit longer now, and I'm thankful for that. And so I'm so grateful that you're tuning in and listening to at least some of the show. Before I go, of course, like always, I have to tell you, sharing is caring, and please share the show with anybody you come across, family, friends, acquaintances, anybody in the course of the day. I would really appreciate it. And hit the subscribe button. Can always use a lot more subscribers. Hopefully you're a real person, hopefully not a bot. I look forward to seeing where we go with this show as it grows and evolves. And, of course, look forward to your comments and your direct messages, and would love to interact with you. So, by all means, take advantage of that. And anyway, that's about it for now. So this is Frank Weber signing off from the forest here in It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. Love you so much. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again next week. Bye.